we're going to jump right into our Monday Night Football preview, which I will be doing with Bobby Skinner of Talkin Giants and Law Nation of Law Nation Sports. Both have awesome YouTube channels. Check them both out. I'm going to throw you straight into that segment right now. All right, I am very excited, everyone, to welcome two guests to preview Monday Night Football, Cowboys versus Giants. One is returning. We have Bobby Skinner of Talkin Giants, part of John Boy Media, and we have a brand new guest, Law Nation Sports, super popular Dallas Cowboys content creator on YouTube. And man, I'm stoked to have you. First of all, Bobby, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's the best I've felt going into a Week 3 game in my life because the Giants are 2-0 and we went 0-2 the last 6 years before that. So it's new territory for us. So I'm excited, regardless of how the offense or whatever part of the team looks bad.
No doubt. Look, as a Jets fan, you know I feel you. Having even one win in September, it feels good, man. Feels good. Law, how you doing today?
Oh man, medium well. Not all the way done and not all the way raw with it. But so far, the Cowboys, the defense is the banging force for this team for right now. Cooper Rush looked better than what we've seen out of our starting quarterback week 2. So I hope that we can still rally behind that. But being 1-1 put us in the middle of the road. I think that my Cowboys, we played 2 games that were pretty much played by the last 3 years. Those 2 teams been in the Super Bowl. So if we split that, then that's okay. So we're 1-1 right now, and we got to face the Giants, who's 2-0. So this should be a ramp up for us.
No doubt. I mean, look, I think there are some teams that have had their season up to this point go exactly as we all expected, right? The Buffalo Bills,
Right.
We knew they were going to be good. I don't think either of your teams is playing out exactly how we thought. You know, we knew there was a little bit of injury issues with Cowboys, but I think even I certainly thought that they would look a little bit better. And Bobby, we talked before the season. I was high on a lot of things about the Giants. I will be honest, I did not expect them to be 2-0 to start the year. So this is the NFL, man. Unexpected storylines. So let's hone in a little bit on some of these specific sides of the ball. All right. So the Giants, they get in an offensive-minded head coach. They have a really great pairing between the head coach and the offensive coordinator. They're trying to see if they can do something with Daniel Jones or at least just get through the year evaluating and move on. What would you say is the offense's outlook against this vaunted Dallas Cowboys defense?
The offensive scheme has been good, but Daniel Jones, who has had like an up and down career for the first 3 years, obviously year 1, there was a lot to like from the rookie year. But you had fumbles and turnover. Interceptions weren't horrible, but they weren't good either. And then Law knows this: 2 years of Jason Garrett will make you want to pull your hair out because it's just an offense that doesn't work in the NFL. It's an offense that has to be executed perfectly, or it doesn't work. There's no room for error in that offense. And I thought Daniel Jones did all right in that offense, but it was just capped at such a ceiling because of the talent around them. And then this year, there have been guys open, and the Giants are 2-0. So you would think Giants fans like, oh, Daniel Jones is clicking in this offense. But I've never seen him look more timid behind offensive line play before. And he's played behind bad offensive lines his entire career. And he's just missing guys that are wide open, missing throws that we've seen Daniel Jones make. So I think he's having a hard time getting used to this new offense and hitting that intermediate game. Like, he's always been good hitting the deep ball, but it's just that intermediate stuff. He's having a hard time processing the defense and getting to that. And then there's been pressure from the interior. The tackle spots have been left tackle's been great. Right tackle, Evan Neal's been fine for a rookie, but they've been getting pressure in the interior. But the main thing has been the run game of Saquon Barkley. Like, went off week 1, obviously, put the team on his back. Mm-hmm. And then last week, you look at the numbers and, they're not spectacular, but in the second half is where he did his damage after they stacked the box against him, and he was getting gritty yards, and I think averaged like 6 yards a pop in the second half after only having like the 2 rushing yards in the first half. So Saquon Barkley has kind of been the motor of the Giants offense and put most of their points on the board, and Daniel Jones has left plays out on the field.
Yeah, man. I was hesitantly optimistic about how the season would go. I mean, I think it's after 3 years, you know what a quarterback is, right? After 1, you might have an idea. They might surprise you. After 2, usually I think I was surprised by Jalen Hurts, how he turned it around like this year. I don't want to say turned it around because he's been advancing all along, but he is one of those guys that is the rare surprise in year 3. We've already seen year 3 of Daniel Jones. I'm not sure, how hopeful we can be. But at least they have the surrounding cast.
I don't think even the coaching staff or the GM are like, hey, Daniel Jones is going to be the guy, but he's just kind of what they have for this year in year 1 where there wasn't a quarterback they wanted in the draft. They didn't have cap space to go and make a trade if that's what they wanted. But for someone, I've watched every play of Daniel Jones 3 times over the last 3 years. I've never seen him kind of timid like this and just missing open guys. It's something I would challenge people to in the last 2 years under Jason Garrett. When you look at the stats, I'm like, well, there's not a lot of touchdowns. There's not a lot of yards. I'm like, find me the plays that he's missing. And they really weren't there for the most part. But these first 2 weeks, they just haven't been there. And I think it's becoming more and more clear that, hey, this is likely the last year of Daniel Jones.
Sure. And I don't think that the last year, I don't think he was missing plays per se. I think the real question with him was always pocket presence, and I think that just never quite developed. But let's look at the defensive side now. I mean, this Dallas Cowboys defense was awesome last year. I wondered if there might be some regression, but I guess when you've got a guy like Micah Parsons out there just taking the league by storm and apparently progressing in his second year, probably not going to have much regression there. So what do you think this defense is going to do against this Dallas Cowboys line? I mean, they have a good tackle situation, pretty good tackle situation, but what do you expect this to play out as?
Well, Micah Parsons, I think, I just did a video on him, and Evan Neal's been fine the first 2 weeks. I think Micah Parsons is going to kill Evan Neal. I really do. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's better in the league of taking advantage of bad O-line play than Micah Parsons. Like, he can just one little mistake and he will kill you because he just works so well outside in and laterally and kind of just plays head games with tackles. Now, if they put him on Thomas, I expect him to get some wins, but not be a game wrecker. So Micah Parsons, I think, can be a game wrecker. And we've really never seen Micah Parsons versus the Giants O-line before because those were 2 of the games where he played stack linebacker last year. The first game in week 5, he played, I think, 95% stack linebacker. And then in the second one, he played like 80%. So we've never really seen that versus the Giants offense yet. So I think he's going to give him issues. But I want to ask Law, last year the Dallas Cowboys had a ton of turnovers. This year they only have 1, and yet they're still like one of the top 5 to 10 defenses so far through 2 weeks. So I'm interested to see how that's been happening.
Well, what I believe is that the defensive fronts are getting to the quarterback before he can make those costly mistakes there. He's third place in sacks right now, only behind I believe the Buccaneers and someone else. I think it's the Steelers. But as long as we up there getting pressure, creating those things, and then I truly believe that you can see that this defense can be a complete defense. Trayvon Diggs, he's not giving up as much yards as he used to give up before. So those small things that I look at. And the thing is with this defense, with Parsons, they are lining him up, like you said, inside the box. They moving him around like a chess piece. I seen him shoot through the A-gap, twist stunts inside, and allowing other people to eat like Dante Fowler. And, of course, D-Law, he haven't got a sack yet, but he's shutting down the run. And if the Cowboys want to win this game, we got to stop Saquon Barkley. That's the guy that we need to stop and create pressure. Out of the quarterbacks that we played so far, the release time, Tom Brady averaging 2.1 second before he get the ball out, and Joe Burrow's 2.3, 2.5-ish before he get the ball out. Oh, your quarterback averaged right at 3 seconds or so. So I'm thinking that will be a situation where Cowboys can get more than 8 sacks this game if he hold on to that ball too long.
Yeah, and a part of that has been him scrambling around. Like, that's something else when we talk about Daniel Jones, something I've never – and the last 2 years, it's been a very quick game offense. And then when Andrew Thomas, started to be really good, it was like, okay, he's able to maneuver a bad left guard through right tackle as long as his blind side. But even though he was never great maneuvering the pocket, he never looked timid in the pocket. Never. In fact, after his rookie year, it's like, this guy's psychotic. Like, pressure just does not bother him. He'll take the biggest hit and act unfazed. This year, it's been like a 1, 2, doesn't see anything, and I've never seen him just be so willing to just escape the pocket, not moving it, just totally escape, and that's been leading to some of those throws. So I am interested to see if the Giants, after 2 weeks of bad offense, the 31st ranked passing offense in the NFL, if versus this Dallas front specifically, like, all right, we want to work on a little more quick game.
Yeah.
And that's feast or famine with that, because I've seen Danny try to rush through a throw and throw an interception in the red zone. I've seen you guys get into multiple red zone opportunities, especially if you look at how you guys were able to, you forced a fumble on a kickoff return. You had a good field position there. And then on the second series, I believe, forced another fumble, and you guys had a short field there, and you only came out with 6 points.
Yeah, I think 2 first.
In that pass game, yeah.
Yeah, kicked a field goal in the first one, 3 and out, and then the second one, there was an opportunity there in the red zone. Right. Pressure was There was a little pressure, but there was enough to sit in the pocket, and Jones just doesn't throw the ball and takes a sack that I think like he created that sack instead of just the offensive line. So it's a very much like, I don't know what we're gonna get out of Daniel Jones this week playing a different front where I think more the pressure comes from the edges. The Titans were, Jeffrey Simmons is one of the. Until you watch Jeffrey Simmons for a full game, you don't realize how good he is.
It's really good. Boy, he's good.
Just nuts interior pressure. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see if the Cowboys are like, hey, we want to see Micah Parsons versus Andrew. I know they move him around, but we want to see him versus Andrew Thomas, who's like playing amazing, or Evan Neal, where I think he can just wreck Evan Neal, but the Giants also might give him more attention with running backs and tight ends helping on that side.
Yeah, and somebody got to spot Saquon Barkley, and it may be dedicating one of those jobs to our safeties like Donovan Wilson, who can come down and box. We play a lot of big nickel, so there will be a lot of that spy factor for Jones and Saquon Barkley.
And I think the Giants will try and run the ball. Like, you think of Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, like pass-happy, play callers. They have really stuck to the run these first 2 weeks. I think Saquon had like 21. He's had a lot of carries. I can't remember the stats off my top of my head. And even versus stack boxes, like he had more success last week versus stack boxes than he did light boxes. So the Giants' offensive line has improved pretty well in the run game wise, and I think that's where the Giants will try and stick it to. I know I'm a guy who likes, it's a passing league, but with the Giants personnel, I really do think they'll try and stick to the run a bit.
I think, when you look at the matchup, I have to be perfectly honest. I think there is a potential for Saquon Barkley to have a good day, but I struggle to see the offense have a truly successful outing in the scheme of things. And as far as Daniel Jones, I don't know, obviously. You can't jump into his mind, but I will say this. When you're a quarterback and you're drafted as highly as he was, you kind of know you have a couple of years, right? Like, you know that you're not going to have your career cut short instantaneously. There's too much investment there. So now that he's in this final year with the new staff, maybe it's just starting to overwhelm him a little bit, the idea that he's probably not going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL anymore unless he really turns it around. And I think that can seep into your psyche. You know what I mean? I think that can do a lot of damage to a young quarterback. So I'm guessing that has some.
I just wish I wish he took that issue and was like, all right, I'm going to go out guns a-blazing, because it's like playing conservative and limiting turnovers isn't going to get him a job next year. He has to play awesome. So I'm surprised we haven't seen more of rookie year Daniel Jones, where it was like, hey, there's some issues there that got to get cleaned up, but this guy's a gunslinger and loves to go downfield, where this first 2 weeks have been like very check down heavy, very timid at the pocket, and not really willing to pull the trigger.
There's some flashes, though. I saw him connect with Sterling Shepard, though. So that was the safety, bad read over the top, one-on-one to the outside, and he got that ball there. So I don't want my team to make any hiccups and think of that lightly, continue to put the pressure on them.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's flip it around now. So we know that Dak Prescott's out for a few weeks. We saw Cooper Rush come in. I think he surprised everybody. I think he surprised the coaching staff. I don't think anybody expected that performance. And surely he was assisted by a bad offensive showing from the Bengals, no doubt about that. But it was good enough. It was good enough to win a game against the AFC champion last year. So how do you expect that offense to go up against the Giants defense this week?
I think that's the formula, to run the ball, to open up the pass. I think that if the Cowboys play close attention to what they did last week to run the ball on the Giants, see if they can penetrate and control the safety that's in the middle of the field. If we can get single high safety looks, then I think that this will be the game that give Cooper Rush that extra push of having one-on-one to the outside, one-on-one coverages in the middle of the field and take advantages of those things versus trying to feed it into quarters, looks, and things like that. So I think that this game will be a run-heavy game, and the team with the most turnovers will get the extra edge on each other. And I think that that's how this game should look like.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable, very, very reasonable with the quarterbacks playing the way they are. Bobby, what do you think?
Going into this year with Wink Martindale, it was not like, okay, where's this defense going to rank at the end of the year? They are very lacking of personnel. They tore it down. Their starting cornerback this week will be Fabian Moreau, who was cut by the Falcons at the end of training camp. They lose James Bradbury. Julian Love gets put into a more prominent role, and you just lost pieces. So what we wanted to judge Wink Martindale is how does he do against average to bad quarterbacks? And the first 2 weeks have been amazing, like best third down defense in the NFL, best completion percentage in the NFL for a defense, and he's thrown multiple looks. And you think Wink Martindale, and you think he's going to run cover zero blitzes all game. No, he really doesn't run those at all. But what he does do is he shows the look pre-snap, and he has guys dropping out. Whether he'll have his edge lined up at nose tackle and have him dropping out and have both the safeties in. I think he ran 17% out of 4 safety looks last week, and then ran 3 safety looks almost the entire game after the previous week 1 where he just stacked the box. So there's a lot of in week-to-week adjustment with Wink Martindale, and it's a fun, confusing defense that gives not QBs who aren't elite a lot of fits, even with lesser personnel. So this is a week where it's like, hey, Cooper Rush, I know the Bengals are more of a let's rush 4. We're going to, play out of 2 high. We're going to do, rotate our coverages and throw different coverage looks, but not throwing a ton of pressure at the offense. So it'll be interesting to see Cooper Rush versus this Wink Martindale defense, which is going to throw a lot at you. But there's also some, there's some bad cornerback play, especially our nickel corner, Darnay Holmes, has really struggled the most out of anybody actually. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Cowboys are able to just take advantage of those good matchups they have.
The unknown for us, because I don't know what Thibodeau is going to look like, because this will be his first game.
And Azeez Ojulari. Right? We've had no pass rush presence from the edge the first 2 weeks. We've had, it's been from the safeties and our defensive tackles and Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, who's out. But now
Williams is out now?
Yeah, Leonard Williams is out. But Dexter Lawrence has been performing really well. Yeah. But like I said, the first 2 weeks, Jihad Ward's been good against the run. 0 pass rush presence. I was saying Zimenez, Giants fans are happy with him, but that's because the guy hadn't had a sack since 2019. So him getting 1 sack on a play Leonard Williams created was like, he exceeded expectations for the whole year. So it'll be interesting to see.
How about Adoree Jackson, how he's been doing so far?
He's been awesome. Like last year, I put him as the Giants' most outstanding player on defense, and then they lost Bradbury, so he's taken the cornerback 1 duties. And he's given up 1 catch in the first 2 weeks. And that's not just, hey, that's what their first 2 weeks look like. The last 10 games, I think he's giving up like 1.2 catches per game, less than 30 yards per game. He's been really good for the Giants. He's not like a turnover machine, but he can, like, whoever he's lined up on, he locks down. Week 1, it was on Robert Woods, following him everywhere. Right. And then last week they threw a curveball and they put him on Robbie Anderson, the speed guy, and left DJ Moore for the other guy. So I think with CeeDee Lamb's speed, I would expect to see Adoree following him, though.
Okay. Well, since you guys don't have Bradbury anymore, so yeah, I can see that happening. I see that this is a different Giants team. I think that your Giants team could have easily been 0-2, but I think that you guys easily been 0-2, but you guys are playing ballsy. I seen them week 1 going for it on 2-point conversion and ultimately getting that, and then week 2, especially just playing focused football. And those are things that I have to tell my Cowboy fans all together. Hey, this is a road game, first road game. And we have to make sure that we punch your quarterback in the mouth early and also get the stops for Saquon Barkley, who is 0-6 versus the Cowboys, by the way. But we got to stop the run. And those things right there, that ballsy, y'all was ballsy because it was 13, y'all was down 13 points for week 1, right?
Yeah, at halftime.
At halftime, and just like that. So I know that we can't get high on the sauce and be, we up 13 points. It's a shoe-in win for us. No, we got to continue. My Cowboys got to continue to play good, sound defense and move the ball.
I think you could point to so many different things. Honestly, like you could break so much down, but this Giants team is going to live and die by how Saquon Barkley does. I mean, tell me if you disagree with that. I think it's a simple fact. He's so explosive, and he is the guy. I mean, look, you might have a big play from Kadarius Toney here or there, or Sterling Shepard, but I don't think that's going to sustain your offense throughout the course of a game. I think Saquon Barkley is that guy, and he's looked really good over the first couple of weeks. I mean, how confident are you in that, Bobby?
I'm confident in Saquon being able to get his, whether that's 80 yards or, like week 1 where it's 150 is a different story. I think for the question for Giants fans is, can we get something more than out of the passing game? Like, 99% of Giants fans don't believe Daniel Jones is a franchise QB. I don't either. But I also do believe he's better than what we've seen these past 2 weeks. So can we get the play out of him to a better level than, again, the only worst passing offense is the Bears. I think they threw the ball 11 times on Sunday night and, played in a monsoon in week 1. So just getting more out of that. And like the first 2 weeks, the defense has to ball out for this to be a win. Like if the Cowboys are able to score 27 points, I don't think the Giants have much of a chance versus Cowboys defense.
Yeah, I have no rebuttal to that. I truly believe we're still scrambling around to see who's going to be our other wide receiver. CD Lamb by himself, it's kind of difficult for him to get the separation, but with CD Lamb with Michael Gallup is a whole different walk in the park.
I don't know if you're trying to end this, but I have one question for how's my guy Tyler Smith looking? Because he was a fun player to watch, but it was like he's got a ton of work on him, then got thrown into that left tackle role.
Oh, man. Tyler Smith is looking phenomenal. He had the highest graded rookie as left tackle last week. I hope that he can continue to develop in that aspect of it, shutting down that left tackle side, just slowly bring him along the way. I think that the Cowboys got a unique weapon with him down the line to hopefully that we can forget about Tyron Smith. That's what I'm looking for. Tyler Smith is stepping up so much.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys got so much criticism for that pick from across the league, and I just don't understand. I mean, I understand trusting your evaluation, but I also question why you go so hard after a team that has had such a tremendous draft record in the first round over these past few years. I mean, it's hit after hit after hit, so I get having a hot take, and maybe the Cowboys will always just be a lightning rod for the hot take because of who they are. But even though there were questions surrounding it, you kind of got to trust him at this point. It's like I was just talking about the Chargers, and their first round picks are on a hot streak too. Like you pick them, assume they're going to be good until proven otherwise. You know what I'm saying? But first round pick on first round pick looks like, I imagine that they'll probably last question before we go. Do you have any concept of whether they're going to put Thibodeau more on the left side or the right side of the defense?
In training camp, they went back and forth sides. And I would assume more on the left side. That's where we saw him more in the limited preseason. But Wink Martindale moves those guys around a bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he does with some legit edge rush because, he pretty much didn't have that in Baltimore. And, I think a rookie year of Odafe Oweh probably doesn't count. But, if he's around for a couple of years and these guys develop Ojulari and Thibodeau, it'll be interesting to see what that defense looks like with, guys who can destroy one-on-ones alone. But, all right, guys, I'm going to get you all out of here. I appreciate you coming on so much. Real quick, Bobby, let everybody know where they can find you beyond our show. If they don't already know, which, they absolutely should.
Well, if you're a Giants fan, Talkin Giants, on YouTube, Talkin Giants, social media, @Talkin Giants. And if you're just a regular NFL fan, look up our YouTube channel, JM Football. We do a lot of video breakdowns. And if there's any Cowboys fans, I just did a video on Micah Parsons, which made me really worried about Evan Neal this week. So there's a lot of stuff on that channel.
That's good. That's dope right there. Bobby, before I say my last words here, is Michael Parsons in the same conversational piece of LT, Lawrence Taylor?
No, because I think Michael Parsons has to get better in the run. Like I did that video, and I'm like, I don't fear this guy at all in the run game. Like, he'll get tackles for a loss because he can make guys whiffs, but just like dominating an edge, I don't see it there. And I don't think he's better than Myles Garrett yet. Like, if you can get better than Myles Garrett, then we can have in the next year or two have the conversation. But I mean, Lawrence Taylor, and I wasn't really alive during that time, but watching his videos, and it's like, I've never seen anything on a field like this before. Like, and there's why he's still, people trying to forget the past, but like watching him, it's like, I've never seen a guy just dominate the position, dominate a game from the defensive side. I think he's like is he the last defensive player to win MVP? Was Lawrence Taylor?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I
Aaron
can't
Donald,
think of one
he?
anytime.
Yeah.
No.
No, he didn't? Okay.
No, it's been offense for at least 20 years. So he probably was the last one. And like again, I think you're probably even a little older than me. So
it is Lawrence Taylor. There we go.
Oh, well, okay.
But,
wow, that is remarkable, Lawrence Taylor with that defensive player.
It drives Giants fans insane though when that like, I don't get worried about the type of stuff. But if you're on like a Giants Twitter this week, it's all like, stop saying he's Lawrence Taylor. Giants fans lose their mind about it.
I say don't put the man in the box because he's on pace right now for getting 34 sacks this year.
Yeah, me too. Leave him on the edge. Stop trying to do the stack linebacker stuff. Just pit him on the edge and let him live there and work on his run defense there and continue to be dominant as a pass rusher.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I know we're about to wrap it up. You guys can find me at Law Nation Sports. That's on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. I'm on multiple locations, also on Roku devices. So look me up, Law Nation Sports. You should see my face, name, or logo there. And I'm glad you guys having me on this beautiful platform. Let's go.
Yeah, man. And you'll only be able to hear him on this show. But if you go find him, he has the best beard in the business. He's putting me to shame. Not only is mine completely unkempt because I've been so crazy busy, there is no way that I could compete with that, even on my best day. Guys, thank you so much, and I will see you all very soon.
Go Cowboys.